music going to be as they come to the checkered flag? What a race this has been.
For many snowmobile racers, having the newest and flashiest machine is half the fun of racing. But that's not true for everyone. Here's one snowmobile racer's story.
My name is Russell Lieber. I'm from Alberta, just west of Edmonton, Alberta. Snowmobiling has been a passion of mine. Since early age, we got our first snowmobile when I was 10.
Russell has been snowmobile racing on and off for almost 40 years. It's his passion and his joy. But it's also an expensive sport. It's a very fast sport. It can also be a dangerous sport where racers have ended up with serious injuries or even losing their lives. So what drives this 59-year-old racer? We caught up with Russell at the Canadian Power Toboggan Championships in Beausejour, Manitoba. Racers compete from across North America at the prestigious event.
Ice oval racing started for me back in 1984. It was something that I wanted to do, but I hadn't had the chance. My parents didn't take me to any races, so I was basically in my 20s before I started racing. So then I got into oval racing. I bought a sled from my friend and I still have it. I don't sell anything, so I still have all my race sleds from over the years.
Russell doesn't race just any old snowmobile though. He builds and races vintage snowmobiles. What's more, Russell may race snowmobiles, but he doesn't race on snow. He races around an oval track made of pure ice. And why is he so passionate about it?
I'm a snowmobile guy and I'm just passionate about snowmobiles. I guess I like them because I like the two-stroke engines. They're very powerful. I like the noise they make and they're very fast. Like, you can go as fast on a sled for $10,000 as it would take you to spend $100,000 to go in a car. So it's a very affordable adrenaline fix, you might want to call it. And we're capable of building them and running them. So that's what appeals to us. They're not simple in a sense, but they're simple enough to put together. And once you learn how to put them together correctly, yeah, they go fast. You know what I mean? Like, our pavement sleds go 130, 140 miles an hour in a quarter mile.
And why the vintage snowmobiles instead of using the best and brightest of modern technology?
The vintage racing appeals to me because of my age, the sleds that I owned. It really, obviously a lot of it comes down to money. Back in the day when I raced, I really had no budget. We were raced on a shoestring budget, and when you won on Saturday, you covered your check that you wrote on Friday for entry fee, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. Bringing back the original race sleds that originated back in the late 60s, early 70s, and mid 70s when the sport was really growing.
And how does Russell say ice oval racing has changed over the years he's been involved?
Obviously more technical, just technology, the amount of power you can get out of certain motors has elevated through the years, and different equipment to make them handle better, whether it's the picks on the track or the carbides we use, and the types of machines and the way they've evolved to make them handle better, you know what I mean? It's all kind of, it hasn't changed a lot, but it's enough that it actually makes a difference. We used to run cleated tracks, you know, belts with steel cleats. They don't allow that anymore for safety reasons. We all run rubber tracks now, and that's a huge difference in the way the sled handles and stuff like that.
What it really comes down to for Russell goes beyond racing. It's about what he's building with his own hands.
Really, truly, it's about running something that you built. We are builders before we're ever racers. You know, you gotta build them, you gotta tune them, and then you have to drive them. And power and speed has always been something that appealed to me. You know, whether I was working on my car when I was younger to make it go faster, it's something we always did. We always tried to improve on everything we drove or anything we rode in the winter. We were always trying to improve on the performance of it.
It's not all about fun and glory, though. Russell must overcome a number of challenges on the ice and off. Russell Lieber has been racing snowmobiles for over 40 years. His love for vintage machines and adrenaline are what fuels his passion. But one of the biggest challenges to racing comes before Russell even gets on the track: how to pay for it all.
You can't cover your costs for racing anymore. Back in the 80s, you could, for the most part, if you won all the time. But nowadays, no. It's a hobby. You know, we build these things at home, my son and I. We're very passionate about the way we build them, so it's about coming out here and running something that we built. You know what I mean? We built this. We tuned this, and now we're driving it with, you know, we got a lot of heart. I'm a farm boy. You know, I grew up on a farm, and a lot of the racers back in the day were farm people because they had less to do in the winter. So snowmobile racing, or snowmobiling in itself, appealed to a large population back in the day because they were affordable, winter fun.
Russell has seen the affordability of the sport change over the years. These days, many families can't afford the cost of the machine, not to mention fuel, regular maintenance, and storage.
Everybody rode sleds back in the 70s, you know what I mean? And then it kind of tapered off, and obviously the price of sleds kept going up. And nowadays, sleds are $15,000 to $20,000 you can pay for a snowmobile to ride now. And we can put these sleds together for far less, you know what I mean? Less than $10,000, because we're working on them ourselves. We don't have to pay somebody to work on our sleds. We do 95% of the work.
While Russell's love of speed hasn't changed over the years, his comfort level with the physical dangers of the sport definitely has.
I often tell people I race with a more intelligent mind than I did back in the 80s when I was in my 20s. You know what I mean? It was, back then it was more brawn and just wild man type racing. Now I race more with you're thinking more. I'm not afraid to lift the throttle. You are in control. On the track, my sled that I've been racing for the last 7 years, is capable of 100 miles an hour, 162K. And it got radared at that speed last March. That's fast. Like, I've had other sleds that I've raced in the last 7 years that were about 5 miles an hour slower, and it's slower. You know what I mean? It's easier to comprehend. When you start getting up to that 100 miles an hour, things happen real fast. So you got to be on your game. It's no joke. It's very serious stuff. You come off these sleds at 100 miles an hour, it's gonna hurt. I don't care if you just fall off on the ice and go sliding, which we do. It hurts. I've had a couple of crashes, and yeah, the ice is super hard. It's harder than dirt.
Staying safe is of the utmost importance to Russell. He has to think of not only himself these days, but his wife Joanne, their children, and beloved grandchildren.
I race with a different thought now than I used to. Yeah, I don't need to win. I don't want to crash. I don't want to wreck my sled. Back in the day, it was do or die. It was like, I gotta win. I gotta win. You know what I mean? But yeah, I enjoy winning, but it's not all about winning. It's about running what you built, basically.
Keeping his body in good physical shape now that he's approaching 60 is more important than ever for Russell.
The physical condition is so important that I never used to work out a lot back in the 80s. I was physically strong anyway, and so that you use your youth and your strength and everything's fine. But once you get into your 50s, 40s and 50s, you begin to lose strength and condition unless you work hard at it. So when we went back racing in 2011, I started to work out. I've basically been working out ever since 2011. In the morning, before I go to work, I have a regime. I work out for 45 minutes, pretty much every morning, 5 days a week, to be able to do what I do. I would not get on my 100-mile-an-hour race sled if I did not work out and condition myself for this. This year, with the new sled I built, it is actually a faster sled than my 100-mile-an-hour vintage sled. I actually stepped up my workout program to try to get in even better shape than I have been, and I accomplished that goal. I'm in better shape now than I was when I was in my 40s. It takes a lot of physical strength, because when you go through the corners, you're basically hanging off the sled on the left side. You are the counterbalance so that it doesn't flip right over, because it has so much bite in the corner. We run basically knife-sharp carbides and 300 needlepoint picks on the track, and when it goes into the corner, it literally wants to flip over. So you're hanging off this thing, steering it through the corner, and that's why ice oval racing is only a sprint race. It takes so much energy to run that sled for 5 or 10 laps, let alone 15 or 20. Like, the World Championship race is 25 laps. It is an endurance sprint race, and you have to be physically fit to do that. Myself, I'm probably good for 10 laps, and then you're gonna start to fatigue. Back in the day when I was younger, yeah, you could run more laps. We ran a few enduros back in the day, and you'd run 30 laps at a shot and whatever, but it's all about conditioning.
While a love of speed and machines is what Russell loves about snowmobile racing, it's his family that's the heartbeat of everything he does. When Russell took a break from snowmobile racing in his 30s and 40s, it was his son, Warren, who nudged him back in.
We got back into racing in 2011. because my son wanted to experience ice oval racing. I did it in the 80s. He was young. You know, when I quit, he was only 10, and he never got the opportunity to race ice oval. We built sleds together, and he got to race ice drag racing when he was turned 16, and he started driving I have an ice drag sled. And so we did that for quite a few years, and then he went off to college, and then he went riding downhill mountain bikes, and you know, we were still sled people, but I really never thought of going back oval racing. You know, 2006, I came back here and ran a sled that I had restored, but it didn't seem like it was quite enough to get me back into it. But when Warren wanted to race, we built a sled, and he raced it that first weekend, and it's addictive, and did well on it. And we went from there. That was December 2011. They have a race in December here in Beausejour and one in March. So by the time March rolled around, we had put together another sled, one that he could run, because I wanted to go back racing too. So if son can do it, dad can do it. So we both each ran a sled for the next couple years. And like I told my son, you woke a sleeping giant, you know what I mean?
While Warren may have woken a sleeping giant, his love for the sport is all his own.
Like when I was 26, 7 years old, that's when I first started ice oval racing, and instantly fell in love with just like the competition, the lap after lap, driving hard, close racing. It's a very adrenaline sport type of racing. And then after a few years, I started participating more in the actual building and construction and tuning of the sled, which I've almost liked that more than the racing.
That doesn't mean things don't get stressful in the heat of the moment. And what happens when the stressful times come?
Let the help vacate the trailer, and we can sort it out between the two of us. You know, we probably end up yelling at each other here and there, but for the most part, we're pretty seasoned at this. We can work through a lot of bad luck and anything like that.
For the father-son duo, racing is important, but so is family.
We have a pretty good working relationship. Outside of the sled racing, I worked with him at the power plant for a few years, and I think we have fairly decent mutual respect for each other, with ability and capability with the sleds and building and everything. So I enjoy it. Sometimes it's stressful because we both kind of get at each other, but it's good. It's everything. Like, we've went racing before where we leave the girls at home and the guys jump in the truck and drive all night and go racing, and that's fun. It's a different fun because it's just the boys talking guy stuff and racing and staying up all hours of the night, either wrenching in sleds or just bench racing and with everybody else in the pits and at the race, and it's a lot of fun like that. But there's still you miss the family aspect, you know, like mom and my wife are here, and we'll go for supper and we get to hang out at the hotel, sit in the hot tub, play with the kid. My boy loves the sleds too. Like, he's not even 2 years old. He's just sitting on them, grabbing wrenches, trying to work on them.
And looking forward, father and son want to help the sport grow and encourage others to partake in the sport.
We as a father-son I feel we're quite knowledgeable about this, and we are more than willing to help anybody that comes along, and it's a bit of the whole snowmobile racing family. We are here to help anybody that breaks down with any of our spare parts. It's theirs if they need it, you know what I mean? And so I like to consider myself as a mentor to the sport.
It's clear to anyone witnessing father and son racing together that they will be doing what they love together for many years to come.